Well, hello there. I did a video 2 days ago, then I missed a day, and it's become very clear I gotta do it before my day actually starts. Now, for me, it's already started. I've already done some stuff. I've been working a lot, but oh, you know what? I want to do something different. Hold on. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it up, homies. But let me kind of catch you up on what's been going on. Because I said I was going to do that yesterday. I just didn't. So, I've started my classes again, which has been wonderful. My students are freaking awesome. They have been doing really good work. It's really good to see them progress. I've been giving them as much feedback as possible, and some of them I realize are really good and have been trying to help them with some opportunities. And for me, I keep telling, and I'm probably one of the most optimistic people on the art space right now. I think there's quite a few artists out there that are a lot more, I think the best term will be realistic. And I think that's fair. I think we need a good balance of people telling you what's actually their feelings and thoughts about what's happening in our industry. And then you need people like me who might just be a little bit more like, look, man, there's space. There truly is space, and there's an ability to make something for yourself. So, for instance, I started this sketch group, and again, I don't live in uh, Florida until just recently. So, I think there's like maybe two or three people that knew who I was that wanted to come hang out, and those few people did hang out the first time I did. Actually, I don't want to do this. I want to do something more fantasy. No, maybe I do want to do more sci-fi. Let's have fun though. Let's do something a little bit more incredible. Um, and they invited their friends, and then their friends were happy to come hang out. And I think about 6 or 7 people came from the result of the people who knew who I was. So that was a great advantage. But this last sketch group, I believe 10 to 12 people who did show up came on their own accord. They don't know who I am. They don't know anything about what this industry I work in. Like I had to like actually tell them about that. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Like some of them were like software engineers, some of them were like kids from college. But I just put the siren out there. Hey, there's a sketch group. Come join. And they really liked it. And I'm starting a little um, I'm starting a little group chat with us, and I have a Discord that my buddy spun up for me to help me out. And it's funny because like a few people that I actually know, only one of them, like that I knew from like work, only one of them really came out. The other one is still trying to find time to come out. So it's not one of those things where I think if I had a huge following, this is what led to the success of my sketch groups. I think the opposite is true. I think that it's just because I'm putting them out there and people want this. People have been looking for something like this, as proven by the interest of people who showed up. I was talking to a buddy of mine at work about this very thing. He's like, "Hey, how did you do that? Like, what did you use? Like, how did you go about? Like, he's like, I want to build out a community where I'm at because I feel kind of isolated." And I said, "Oh yeah, just use Meetup. It's like an online tool explicitly made for this type of stuff." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I will." And I said, "Yeah, you just got to start out. You just got. It starts off small, but then eventually it grows and more people start showing up, and then it becomes its own thing." I've, in fact, a couple of people that have gone, I've made them co-organizers because they have been helping me organize, and it's been wonderful. So I think that's just all that needs to be done there. I don't really know if I want to, you know, make this my main job. I've ran events many times before, very successfully, but it's just it's a job of its own. And right now, I'm not interested in doing that. Maybe in time I might change my mind on it. For instance, it would be kind of cool to build something similar to what you would see from Lightbox on the East Coast. I think a lot of people would like that. And honestly, um, I'm sure this year I can go talk to Bobby. Maybe Bobby would be interested in sorting something out there. It's just a lot of work and takes time and effort for people to do this type of stuff. And why am I telling you this? Because, at that event, it again just demonstrated to me the power of just trying. And I think that a lot of people that message me on like Instagram, I get a lot of messages on Instagram, and I try to answer all of them with whatever time I have. I don't get to everybody, and even if I get to everybody, I usually it's like offset by whatever my schedule is. I try my best to give them good advice, but what tends to happen, and I always encourage them to kind of reflect this in their own abilities. What tends to happen is people make a lot of assumptions that there's outward forces that are preventing them from their successes. And I don't disagree with this actually. And going back to kind of people who are realistic, you know, I actually saw an article or a post written by a buddy of mine named Ro that kind of outlined that the industries needs to change in a lot of meaningful ways. And I actually don't disagree because of how artists are treated and how people kind of get burnt out of this industry. um I think this is very fair. The only thing that I felt, you know I had my own opinion on is there was a mention of people that have completely left the industry because of how bad it is. And I don't know if that's true for my circles. And I think it's because the difference between me and Ro, from what I can tell, is that he's an environment lead. Like he does a lot more 3D stuff. You know, I do more concept art stuff. I do more illustrative stuff, and I feel like literally the opposite about leaving the industry. I love working on stuff as a concept artist, even in if the working conditions of some studios, like as an illustrator, concept art, like it's rare that even in the studio environment that it will make me feel like I don't want, like I like to draw even before I started to work. And I think that people who tend to go into the 3D field, uh, unlike Ro, I think Ro actually loves that shit. I think that's probably why still grinding. And other friends of mine like Raf Grassetti, um, my buddy Jason Hill, my buddy Dan McGowan. Um, who else is like a badass 3D artist that just still does it? Oh, Vitali, like starting his own game studio. The guys behind um, Team Clout, because they actually love 3D. Like they started in 3D not because they were trying to make a buck. Oh, my buddy David Lesperance is another good example. Like, just fucking loves 3D, um, but because they genuinely love it. But I find that a lot of students that I take on don't necessarily love 3D. They're just trying to get a job. And I can see that the turnaround in that space would probably just be much higher in general, because the premise that many of these people even started their industry journeys is on the idea of just trying to make some money. And that's just never the best strategy long term. For instance, I've been teaching for almost 15 years, and almost consistently so. But studios, I've come and went. But I've at least been consistently doing concept art. But sometimes I do illustration, sometimes I'm doing art direction. You know, I'm even now looking into like becoming a tattoo artist, because when I went to that sketch group, they were showing me some cool stuff, and I was like, oh, dude, this is actually kind of tight. So after today's work session, I'm gonna do some more practice with tattooing. And they were saying like, yeah, if you got really good at tattoo, like people would probably want that kind of original content that you create, but in tattoo form. And I'm like, that's actually kind of sick, you know? I like that. But teaching, brethren, I love it. Like right now I'm doing this for free. I'm like teaching on YouTube, even these short videos for free. I have no ambition that my YouTube channel is going to grow into this massive channel that's going to make all this money for me. In fact, I don't really want it to. And what I mean by this, I don't want it to replace my main source of income, which is just the craft of it. I like making stuff. I don't know if I want to be an influencer. Influencer sounds like the opposite of what I want to do. Teacher, sure. But then, an influence teacher seems like there's still some limitations there, right? Because then I have to maintain a certain type of standard on my YouTube channel, like post every single day or every other day, or these really well thought out, beautifully edited videos. That is just not in the cards for me. That is just not. I've tried things of this nature here and there. I've even interfaced with people who do this, and it just doesn't seem like it lines up with my principles of who I think I am as a person and as a creator. I make things. I like to make things for other people that are really cool. And making this my full-time job, the kind of frontal perception of what I'm working on always and forever seems like the opposite of what I really want to do. And hence why I miss a day or two here and there, why the video's quality is just literally just me chilling, talking to a camera. That is by design. Some of you who are listening might have the opposite perspective. You might love being a streamer. You might love talking about stuff, even if you don't have direct experience with that. I think that still has some value for lots of people to get kind of commentary from people that have a good sense of them and who they are. That's just not what I'm built to do. I want to make cool stuff that people engage in. Right now, I'm working on several different projects that I really think are incredible. Some of which you won't see for like a year. Some of them you'll see within months. Some of them you won't see for like a few years. I think I was talking about how funny it was that I completely forgot that I worked on Love, Death, and Robots season 4 until I got an email saying, "Hey, we're gonna release the show's coming out," and I'm like, "What? Oh yeah, I worked on it." I was trying to even remember like what episode did I work on, and then when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." I completely forgot that I worked on that episode. It's not that I didn't have a good time with that episode. I actually liked it a lot. It was really fun. It's just funny to me that I just completely forgot. Because I work on lots of stuff, and I really love working on these things, man. They're so much fun. I realize I started at such a low resolution, but the damage is done. And yeah, it just became so obvious to me that this is what I am built to do, is make cool stuff. Even when I was a kid, I would make things. I would make little music videos. I would make little animated shorts. I would make music a lot. I remember when I did the animated shorts, it was just me and my buddy in our 8mm camera. We would just do stop motion. We would make short films. I remember when we decided, hey, let's start a band, and we just did. We just started making music. And we started doing really cool music. We started playing with really incredible bands now that are incredibly popular today. And then when I decided to go into this field in the first place, I actually started off as a programmer with the mindset that I want to make video games. I want to work and make video games. And that has been true. I've been doing it. I still am doing it, guys. It's wonderful. So whenever I see kind of hey, the industry's tough, I agree. I actually do not disagree with this. This is a true fact. Facts be true. The part that I have a hard time, and this is something I've been telling my students, and I will tell you guys now, the hard time that I have is being the person that tells you not to chase your dreams. That's the part that is almost impossible for me to sign up for, even if I am fundamentally wrong. It's just not in my bones. And the way I explain it to my students is that let all these other people tell you that you can't accomplish your dreams. Let them tell you that you can't do it or that's not possible. I'm just not going to be one of them. I'm going to be the person in your origin story that told you that you could do it. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be fun all the time. But it is not fair for me to say that that's not possible when I felt that everything that I've tried to do, I've been able to do it in some capacity that I've been content with, or just literally did it. You know, I said I wanted to be a concept artist for Blizzard. I literally did that. You know? And it just doesn't seem like we need more people telling us how things suck. There's a lot of those people. And many of them, I think, are actually right about their perspective. I actually do not disagree at all with some of the actual content of what they're trying to get at. I'm just not going to be that part of that journey for you guys. I am going to be, even at a delusional level, the kind of person that tells you that you could potentially, if not effectively, get to where you want to go, follow your dreams, and chase those ambitions. I think it's important to be realistic about what those challenges are. I think it's important to understand what will get in your way, what are the things that you will face, and the consequences of the choices that you'll make to kind of go on that path. I think this is all fair. I think this is all reasonable. You know? I think about this stuff all the time. Let me give you an example. Right now I'm working on a video game. And me and my business partner, we talk about all the challenges and all the circumstances that are really making it tough for us. And we're being very practical. We're being very realistic about like why we won't be successful in a certain amount of time, why there's going to be some challenges in the way, why it's going to be a bit of a marathon for us to eventually accomplish some of these ambitions. But the thing that we are aligned on, which is why I think we're a good team, is that it's a matter of patience and resilience. It's a matter of temperament. And we have that temperament. And potentially in a few years from now, when I talk to you guys about, hey, you know, chase whatever you want to do, it'll be under the paradigm that I have done it. Again, I've done this video game stuff. And now I'm making my own games. Maybe now I'm an employer to people in my own projects. That sounds awesome. And one thing again, do I think the industry needs to change? Well, yeah. And if that's the case, I've always felt it's a bottom-up solution, not a top-down. I don't think, and I am not convinced, that these larger studios will be the kinds of studios that will make these changes that we all agree with, that we all think are reasonable. They're just too far gone. Some studios, I think, are really good and have really strong merits and really powerful tools to help their staff and to grow their teams in ethical and meaningful ways. They do exist. There are a few of them, but the vast majority of the industry is definitely relatively and aggressively, for lack of a better term, toxic. You know, I don't disagree with this. But as I tell my students all the time, if you're going to do this, if you're going to decide to pick this industry as something you want to do, you have to come to grips that it is a challenge and that there are lots of things that are going to be really tough to overcome. And if you're okay with that, you know, I'm happy to help. And you might as well be doing something that you already like doing anyway. If you are saying, I don't want to be a concept artist because I've heard that it's much harder and that it's unlikely, and you pick a different pursuit because of that, then I might question. It's like, well, listen, are you then truly going to be doing the thing that you actually care about? Or are you just trying to get a job in this industry? Because if you're just trying to make money, perhaps there's other alternatives and you can still make art and you can still do art and make it just an outlet. Like for me, I like to work out, but I'm not a professional trainer. I'm not like a professional athlete. It's clearly something I am not making money from, but I do it because I like it. And maybe in the future, there is a version of me that becomes a personal trainer. I can see that happening for sure. But I mean, I'm not pursuing that. I just am not, that's just not even in my front of my mind. It's just, I just work out. I just like working out, like lifting. So art can be the same for many people. It doesn't have to be a job, but it just makes sense if you're going to pick something that you are going to work your ass off to try to achieve, to try to accomplish, then pick something that you really want to do, even if it's really hard. Maybe you can find an alternative strategy that will bring you income through that field, right? Maybe you make, like I said, maybe you're someone who makes their own content and just shares it, and you build an audience that way. Maybe you're the person who creates stuff for a very niche type of aesthetic that you love, but it's like you found that audience, you found those people, and you make a good living, you modest living, and you're happy and you're content. You know what I mean? And so I think it's really important to reconcile with that and really come to grips with the idea that it is absolutely indeed very challenging, but I don't know if it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible. I don't know if the industry being in this turbulent state is like something that you should look at as like the standard either. It's like, no, this is clearly a moment in time. And I feel that patience and resilience is the types of tools that really drive artists to succeed, not to fail. But anyway, I'm going to stop drawing here because I got to do some work. But you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Cheers.